Hey, how you doing? Let's get one thing straight. I absolutely love the Tour de France and I love the Étape du Tour. These are the reasons that I discovered the mountains in the first place. But 2026, 16,000 amateur riders, a full pro race, and both events crossing one of the most environmentally fragile passages in the Alps, the Col de Sarenne. So today I want to ask a question I never thought I would ask.
Should the Tour de France really be here? And the more I look into it, the harder this becomes to answer. Before we dive into the debate, here's the 2026 setup because this year is big. 19th of July 2026, L'Étape du Tour, around 16,000 amateur cyclists. The route, Le Bourg d'Oisans, Col de la Croix de Fer, down to Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne and then along the Maurienne Valley before climbing up to the Col du Télégraphe, the Col de Glibier. From the Glibier, the riders will descend down to the Col de Lotteret and then descend all the way back down to the valley to Mizouan, the Col de Sarenne, and then into the town of Alpe d'Huez. 171 kilometres, over 5,000 metres of climbing, one of the hardest etappes in years. On the 24th of July, the pros arrive from Gap and finish up the 21 bends of Alpe d'Huez. And then, on the 25th of July 2026, the pros will repeat exactly the same course as the amateurs had done the week before. So, the region will be absolutely packed. And that brings us to the first big issue, and also the first big benefit.
The Oisans lives for weeks like this, hotels booked out for months, campsites, gîtes and restaurants, everything is full. Alpe d'Huez, Le Bourg d'Oisans, Le Chenay, Le Clapier, Le Garde, every village benefits. This is hundreds of thousands of euros in local spending. The Tour isn't just a bike race, it's tourism. It's infrastructure investment, it's visibility that most mountain valleys could only dream of. But what happens when visibility comes with a cost the landscape can't pay?
The Col de Sarenne sits at 1,999 metres and links the high plateau above Alpe d'Huez with the wild valleys above Mizouan and Clavin. It's spectacular, narrow, quiet, exposed, but it's also incredibly fragile. Parts of the area form a protected zone with rare alpine flora and fauna. The road is narrow, cracked and not designed for large conveys or continuous heavy vehicles.
And that is why the local residents and environmental groups are pushing back hard. In fact, there's already a petition and French news outlets have been covering it heavily. And over the last week or so, this has passed it over to the English press.
The last time the Tour crossed the Col de Sarenne was 2013. It was spectacular and controversial. The road surface was broken, spectators' traffic caused erosion, wildlife disturbance became a real concern. Some local reports argued that the impact of a single day took years to reverse.
Imagine that, multiplied by 16,000 amateurs plus a full tour stage all in 1 week. That's where the debate stops being emotional and becomes practical. Okay, let's talk logistics and safety, because this isn't just about nature. The Sarenne road is narrow, very narrow. There's hardly space for team cars, neutral support, motos, TV vehicles, medical staff, and then on top of that, spectators.
Steep uneven gradients, long sections with no barriers, limited access for emergency vehicles. During the Étape, the field spreads out over 30 kilometres. During the Tour, everything compresses into a moving caravan.
You can see why locals might be concerned, but here is the twist. The very thing that makes Sarenne risky also makes it unforgettable. From a racing perspective, the Sarenne is wild, it's dramatic, it gives a real sense of backcountry Tour de France. It's exactly the kind of big cinematic mountain day that defines GC battles. And it guarantees global attention.
For ASO, iconic stages like this aren't just sport, they're storytelling, branding and long-term tourism promotion. You put a helicopter above Sarenne, you put that in front of 30 million viewers, and the Oisans explodes on the map.
So the question becomes, is the short-term economic gain worth the long-term environmental strain? And that depends on who you ask. Because some say this isn't a trade-off at all, it's a gamble.
Environmental groups argue that repeated high traffic events in sensitive alpine zones cause erosion, habitat disruption, disturbance during breeding seasons, and long-term damage to trails and meadows. They worry that 2 mass events in 1 week will push the valley past its ability to recover.
The region also relies on cycle tourism. Bike shops, guides, rental companies, restaurants, hotels. The Tour literally keeps some businesses alive. There's no easy answer, but ignoring the tension doesn't make it go away. I want to make something very clear. I love the Tour de France. I love Étape du Tour. They're celebrations of the sport, of the mountains, of human effort. But loving something doesn't mean we can't question it, especially when the place that we ride through is as delicate as the Sarenne Valley.
For 2026, the challenge will be a balance: managing crowds, controlling traffic, protecting wildlife, ensuring safety, and making sure the economic boom doesn't become an ecological bust. And that brings us to the real final question.
So, should the Tour de France return to the Col de Sarenne in 2026? Or should the valley stay wild, quiet, and untouched, even if it means losing an iconic moment in the race? I'd love to know what you think, especially if you've ridden the Col de Sarenne yourself, because once you have seen how fragile it really is, this debate feels very different.
As always, thanks for watching. I hope you found this topic interesting. There are so many incredible places to ride in France: Normandy, the Atlantic coast, the Alps, the Loire. So if you love cycling in France and want a weekly dose of inspiration, tap like, subscribe, and head to the next video. You pick the region, I'll bring the ride.